All right, welcome to This Is Here, an educational podcast about unusual learning experiences and interesting projects. I am Adam Schechter. I am the school-based technology specialist, or I like to say the instructional technology coach here at John R. Lewis High School here in Springfield, Virginia. Welcome back. This is going to be the end of the season, end of the school year wrap up. As we go through some of the things that happened in the 25-26 school year, we'll also talk with Maria Cruz, who is my counterpart from Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology, aka one of the best schools in the country. So she is my role over there, and we have all sorts of good conversations. But let's talk a little bit about some of the highlights this year, some of the fun things that we were able to do. So I think media projects has been one of my specialties and something that I enjoy as far as the work. I think that has also continued here in the 25-26 year. We did some great projects here at Lewis High School, and I worked with a number of teachers. Romeo and Juliet was back on the menu, both in the movie trailer form with one of our English teachers, Chris Ingram. We had students go through and pick a theme out of Romeo and Juliet, find some text that helps support that theme, and then film it and edit it as if it was a film trailer where the other elements, the production elements, was guided by that theme. So we enjoyed those trailers again. I think we're still looking to tweak it a little bit, make sure that the theme itself is sort of more pronounced, and certainly to an untrained viewer that you'd be able to pick up what the theme was pretty easily. So yeah, I think we're still working on that a little bit, but as usual, it was great working with his students. We also did a podcast project with those same students as freshmen about the book Escape from Camp 14, which is about a prisoner in a North Korean prison camp who actually escapes and goes to freedom and tells the story and tells what all the what the camp is like and all that. And so those students turned around and did a project on that as a podcast. And, you know, one thing I definitely told Mr. Ingram between now and from when this project started, this is like the third year I think we've been doing this podcast, that the improvements that he has done in planning it and getting students to really understand the task, focus on making interesting podcasts, and also focus on the content of the book and really demonstrating that the students have read and understand the books, pulling in outside sources that help support some of the ideas from the book. So a lot of students brought up like PTSD and how their outside research goes and supports sort of like the character going through PTSD. And so, you know, like that, those sort of things I think were very effective. And I know like we're looking to really play around with some style and just make some of the podcasting, I guess, a little more entertaining since we're getting the educational bit down. But generally, this is a great project. And every year I love working on that. So had that in our English class. And then also the other ninth grade English class was doing Romeo and Juliet. And this time we filmed more or less that full movie again. Every group got a scene and they had to go pare it down and really distill that scene to something at a core level, you know, so that the content was still understandable and you definitely knew what was happening in that scene, but it didn't have all of the lines. So we had those kind of projects. I worked for a second year in a row with one of our history teachers doing a World War II style newscast as like an audio form. So they had to do a news report as if it was a World War II battle. And it was supposed to be immersive. They were adding sound effects, like warlike sound effects. Generally, I thought the students did really well in, you know, acting like they were reporters on the scene to different battles in World War II. Our AVID class, that's an advancement via individual determination, kind of like a college preparatory class. They did work again in making a promo video about a different college here in Virginia and from other states. And so that was a fun project where they used our green screen and they put like a background that represented the college in their edits and put together some very interesting videos to try and get the different parts of the college application process together and really show their understanding about, you know, what makes a college special and look into a college really deeply. Those are some great projects. And then also in Mr. Ingram's class, we worked with his 11th grade students. This was brand new this year. And his class had read World War Z, which I meant to read and then I didn't. But World War Z is about, you know, the zombie apocalypse and sort of the aftermath and It is told through the stories of like individual narratives, I guess, from people in that world. And so what the students were asked to do is basically create their own narratives. They paired up and they were supposed to pretend that they were characters in that world and create a podcast about their experiences. And some of them were just amazing. They really took on those characters, and you could tell that they read the book. They brought in themes from the book, different aspects or like parts of that world into their podcast. And it was very clear that they had done the reading just by the way they were able to create their characters and fit them into this world. And so some of them were great. You know, they were like pretending to be married couples. They were pretending to be friends. In one, I remember there was sort of like a expert being captured, I guess, by some sort of secret police and trying to get that expert to cooperate. I guess they're like a zombie expert or something like that. Again, I'm not sure. I haven't read the book. I really need to do that over the summer. So those projects were awesome, and it really helped inspire me to think about, you know, some of the presentations and the work that I'm going to do in the future. Speaking of presentations, it was a great year for that. Presenting again at Visti, I was able to present what I call tools of the storyteller. And that was an opportunity to demonstrate a lot of different audio and video recording equipment and bring the educators into that room at the Visti, the Virginia Society for Technology and Education. I should explain what that means. Just to have the educators come and basically play around for about an hour or so and creating stories. And it was, I guess you can say, co-sponsored by my friends at B&H Photo. So I've been a little cagey about that relationship, but I think it's fair to say that I've been partnering with them for a few things. In fact, I'm already thinking about next year in the presentation, and I've been in contact with them about providing equipment. So that was the cool part, is I did not have to bring all of the gear from the studio. It was brought for me by the B&H representative who was on site. And so I think next year we're going to go and continue that relationship, hopefully. I did put in 2 proposals at Visti, one I'll talk about in a second, but the other one I'll talk about right now is something I'm really excited about, which is a presentation I'm calling the 2-Hour Film Festival. And so somewhere in Visti, I had an idea of a presentation where attendees would write, film, and edit a very short video. I mean, we're talking 20 seconds, 30 seconds, like a public service announcement or a promotional video for an event, maybe something like some sort of Visti hype video, or, you know, some sort of theme around there, and write it, film it using the provided cameras, maybe use some green screen if we can get the green screen there, and then, you know, on their laptops, edit it. So I'm still working out some of the editing parts of it. I'm hoping to work with a few of the platforms and maybe help get like demo accounts for those attendees. So I'm still got some emails and feelers out. I still have to get this approved by Visti, of course. Like, that still needs to be approved as a presentation. But I've already heard from B&H that they would be able to provide something for the winners if we do like a vote or some sort of raffle or something like that. So yeah, it'll be cool. I'm very excited if that can be pulled off. So the Visti conference typically are hour-long sessions throughout the day, right? So they have the keynotes, you know, they have those sorts of things. But in terms of the other sessions that you attend, most of them tend to be about an hour long. They're in different formats. Like, some of them are more like sitting gets, some of them are more interactive. This coming year, so for Visti 2026, and maybe if I get some friend from Visti onto the show in the fall, they can talk kind of like how this happened. But they're introducing a new session type, what they call a 2-hour workshop. And the goal of a 2-hour workshop is to have a topic or something that attendees are going to be doing that's interactive, that is an engaging presentation, not just sitting for 2 hours and, you know, just listening, but to be able to explore something more fully. So when I put my presentation in, I was very, very excited, happy to do that. And I feel like this is something that they would be looking for, because it would be a complete 2-hour project. You know, we would have, even at the end, when everyone's videos were done, we can have like a viewing and do like a, you know, maybe give out prizes. Maybe I'll go to like Five Below or something and get those little cheap statues, and we can like have like little like fun little themes and awards, and then even give like real awards like swag or gift cards or like that sort of stuff. Learning the basics of video projects, and hopefully that's something that can be shared and built on by those attending, where they can learn the process, they learn enough about it to be able to run it with students and modify it for their needs, but also like it's enough of a head start. So some ideas of like equipment that one can get, all that kind of stuff. That's the big Visti presentation that I am working on for next year. The other presentation I'm working on really revolves around some of the other work I'm doing, where somehow I went from like, what is AI? And, I'm going to put this little prompt in ChatGPT and like talk to it. And it went from that to that meme of the guy and he's got the dominoes and every domino gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Like the bottom one is something like really small, like you sneeze and then like builds up. And then, like top one is like something crazy, like, a volcano explodes. So that's what I kind of feel like happened to me this year, where that little domino was, I'll play around with AI and ChatGPT is fun. And now by the end of this year and going into next year, a specific type of AI use has completely taken over a lot of my own work in a number of different ways. And that is vibe coding. And if you don't know what vibe coding is, it is how to program without knowing how to code. So I do not know how to code. I really don't. I know a little bit of HTML, a little bit of like PHP or some Java-ing. All of that goes back to years and years and years ago, where I happen to have friends that had web servers on our college campus. And we just thought it would be funny to make websites and like point people to them and like put funny things and image galleries and like other sorts of stuff. So I don't know how to code. That's really where I was going. But Gemini, AI models, they are fantastic at coding. And this year in FCPS, we have like the pro Gemini accounts. And so I've been vibe coding a lot of things, and I'm going to do a presentation about it. I wanted to call it something like vibe coding for a better tomorrow, but I think I kind of did something that was more connected to the conference theme. I can't remember what I called it. It really goes into the process. The actual code itself in vibe coding doesn't necessarily matter. And this is that process of creating apps. And for me, people are like, well, how do you do this all the time? And what actually is more helpful than worrying about the code is worrying about what you want this thing to do, and have somewhere sketched out either a list of features you want. Maybe you have like almost like storyboarding your app, like have like a layout in mind, color scheme, like all of that sort of stuff. And all of that is going to go into the prompt. Your feature set, like what you want the core thing to do. From there, you get some sort of like, AI is like really weirdly good at taking what you give it in this kind of prompt, especially for some sort of app, and turning around and being like, well, here you go. And it will give you as much of the features as you request. And so once you have that, you have at least an entry point, right? And so you could see what it gives you. You could do some testing on it. A lot of the stuff is connected with Google Sheets. Some of it is about like entering information in as if it was a form. A lot of it is like kind of cross-referencing things or setting different requirements for the, the different systems. You test it, you play with it, and then finally you say, okay, it does this. Awesome. So now you kind of go back into this conversation and definitely pin your conversations, very important, in Gemini, or favorite it or bookmark it in ChatGPT, whatever you're using, Claude Code, whatever. You start building upon that. It says, okay, here's the error it's giving me, like why. I would like it to have this feature instead of this. So the more information you're giving it, the more you're trying to refine it and iterate. Eventually you're going to get something that's like really fantastic and usable, and something that the whole school can use, or whatever you're doing. And so I've been doing that, and I've created a system for our advisory system. What we needed to do was set a system for this switch period where teachers can request students to come to them for extra help, to make up something, do enrichment. So this is where, Lancer Media here at Lewis High School, this is where that runs. I pull in other students during the switch time that want to work on projects and stuff. We have other things, meetings, speakers, like other programs. So we needed a pass system. And so one of the first things I did was to create a pass system where if a student was requested by a teacher, that was it. Another teacher tried to request that student, the system would reject it. They would send some sort of notification. Cool. So I have like a tab and a sheet per day for advisory. All the students' requests or passes were there. And then it really built and grew to the point of being almost like the company Securely. They make this thing called Flex Time. It was essentially doing all of the elements of Flex Time within Google Sheets. So teachers were requesting students. They can request students for multiple days. They can request like a whole group of students at once for a day or multiple days, manage their passes and like delete them. The system would close at like 8 o'clock in the morning, the day of that advisory class. Students would get passes emailed to them with like personalized numbers. Teachers would get a list of students that were leaving their classroom as well as students that were going into it during the switch time. So, there was a lot of information being shared. It was very easy to go and find stuff. We've been working for a long time on a spreadsheet system for our advisory passes. And thanks to Gemini and some of the coding that we've been able to do, that system has worked out really well. I'm currently building a system to actually create like a full-fledged hall pass system through Google Sheets. Like, we'll try it next year. We'll see how that goes. I've got like a calendar system, and I'm currently working on a system for the library for reserving their spaces. We have Autotech I want to build a system for, and then we did our end of the year teacher checkout system through this web apps setup. So a lot of cool things and exciting stuff with web apps, and it has taken over a lot of my time. And I think I am thankful, at least in this position, that I have that kind of autonomy and freedom to explore this stuff, because I just get to play with it a lot and just have free range to roam and try out some different stuff. So I never really intended at the beginning of the year that it would just be taken over by AI, but it has. So there you go. It certainly changed my life. All right. So I think this is a great time to introduce our guest for today. So I do have Maria Cruz, and she is the school-based technology specialist over at the Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology, which is a magnet school and a school that, while public, it's part of FCPS. You do need to apply for admission. There is admissions testing. They pull students from all the middle schools. It's also open to students like outside of Fairfax County. So it's one of the only schools here in our division that students from like Alexandria City or Arlington or even, I think, Maryland can attend, or Prince William, some of our outlying areas. So yeah, it's a very competitive school full of a lot of very, very smart kids. And some of the work they do is like insane. So as a technology specialist of that school, it was very interesting to hear her perspective. So here is my interview with Maria Cruz. Enjoy it. And I'd like to welcome Maria Cruz, who is the school-based technology specialist at Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology. Did I get all of that right? Like,
all of it.
That's the full name?
Mm-hmm.
So welcome to This Is Here. It's great to have you here today.
Thank you for the invitation.
Are you enjoying the last few days? Like, how is the last few days over at TJ going over there?
I think, it's the normal level of chaos. The last week, I guess this is technically the last week, but before Memorial Day is the big thing where they do TJ Star, like all the student senior presentations of like their big presentations of research learning. That's a big day. But after it's done, you just feel this collective whoosh throughout the building, like, whoa. And now we're actually on the downhill.
And then there's graduation. So
straight downhill to graduation.
I've talked to a few school-based technology specialists. It's such a word salad of a job title. Do you like that as a job title?
It's a misnomer, it feels like. I think at one time it did fit. And it kind of does sort of fit if you realize that the other technology specialists in the county are centrally employed, right? So they are assigned to a school and can move at any time. And we are also technology specialists, but we cannot be reassigned to different schools. And so that really just tells us about our assignments, but not actually what we do. Wrong, but it's also inaccurate.
Defining our job is one of the weirdest parts of our job. Like, I don't think I've ever heard of a position, at least in a school building, where the amount of energy that you spend to try and educate others on what you're actually supposed to do. It is, to me, like mind-boggling to go to like an administrator and be like, yeah, so that's not my job. Like, to try and figure out the most professional way to be like, that's not what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, do you run into that?
I do. We are privileged in that we have a defined role, and we can say that, because if we were, let's say, a resource teacher or perhaps an instructional coach, their jobs are less defined. They're more ephemeral, fuzzy around the edges, and they either don't want to, or they don't have the means to do that sort of pushback. It's, I realize you've never done map testing before, but now that's your job.
Yes.
So on the one hand, yes, it can be a bit annoying. On the other hand, it's a gift.
It is. it's such a unique role because it's like such like a crazy dynamic between what your administrators expect that you do because we're school-based. But then on the other side, it's like, what do you want to do? And there is like a lot of opportunities, I think, to carve out your own path in this job, which is like kind of cool, depending if you know, if you have that freedom, right?
Yes. I think that's part of the power of being school-based, because you're not going to be reassigned to another school, that you can establish your role and your identity within that building amongst your cohort of colleagues. That's really great. So yeah, we get to put some pieces of flair on our job.
We do. We don't have a minimum number of flair, if I was to.
Yes, but we can't push back on the, I don't know that I need 50 pieces of flair, right? Like we can keep it a little more minimal.
Yeah, we can be like where we want. So over at TJ, is there anything that you're up to over there that's like a pet project that you're up to? One
of the things that sets TJ apart is actually what we don't have. We have a lot of things that other schools don't, but one of the things we don't have is coaches, right? We don't have an instructional coach. There's no reading coach. There's no math coach. When you look around, you're like, wow, these teachers and the staff in the building, they need to know a lot of stuff. Who's going to teach them? Who's going to teach them, guys? It's me. So some things are very natural, right. Like, hey, we just bought a subscription to this platform. I'm going to teach everybody who wants to know all about it. Other things are more like okay, I think it would be useful to have some teacher-led PD sessions in the August teacher work week, like that back to school work week. And I don't hear anyone else taking this up. I've talked about it with a bunch of people. Nobody's running with it. All right, I'll do it. This is a project that I carved out for myself, and I'm now recruiting people for this August work week PD, because for the time that I've been there, at least at TJ, we have had no teacher-led PD unless it's like, mandated by the administration. My call went out and I was like, hey guys, what do you want to talk about? What do you do that's awesome? You're a rock star. Now stand up there and do your stuff. And so far, no one said no to me yet. They're all very nice. So I've got a couple weeks. As you say, we're on this downhill slide.
We are on the slide, yeah.
To get more people recruiting in. It's just come back from summer and people are fresh and at the same time still burned out, and they need wins.
Yes.
Right? Let's give them some wins. Right? Get up there and feel good about what you're presenting to your colleagues, and feel good about turning around and taking it right to your classroom the next week and starting something good.
As far as like the teacher-led PD, we've been doing share fairs here, and they are super popular. And I don't like to ask people. I think that's my thing. I like to go and just do some general announcements. I'll put up some flyers like, hey, sign up to do the share fair. And I'll put a link. And I'm very passive about that. There are a few teachers in the building that I'll be like, hey, I know you have something awesome. But like, that's just not my style to be like, hey, you, I need you to present. You're really good at this. Say yes to me. Right. Say yes to me right now. And I think it's because I'm not used to people actually saying yes to me on stuff. Like I have like that still fear of rejection that like my high school self had, like especially when it came to girls. We never grow up. We never grow up. Maybe that's why I love being on running a news show. It's just to be around like other nerds and just be like, I wish I had this safe space when I was in high school. So now I'm going to, that was like my whole modus operandi for middle school teaching. Like, full circle nerdery. I love it. It's all coming back. So I'm a little hesitant. I think for me, and maybe I can bounce this off you, my goal is that school planning day that usually floats around election day. So there's a teacher work day, and then usually around that time there is like the school planning day, and that's when I like to kind of do my share fairs, and I'm going to try and aim for that and have that kind of control for coming up in November. So by then you'll have a more established relationship with your principal. Yes. Right. Teachers hopefully will be on a roll, not too saturated at that point. It's November. Yeah. That's a good day for it. So right in the first quarter, so end of first quarter. Get those grades in early, folks. Yeah. Post early, post often. Post early and post often. And you don't have an instructional coach, but I do. And she was a teacher in this building first, and then instructional coached in another building, and then came back to be ours. And what I am surprised by, now we get along professionally and we have done some work together. But I think it's still very surprising how easy it is to just be in our separate worlds. Like we are both supposed to be coaches.
Yep.
But our worlds do not interact like much at all.
I feel like I've heard that from other SBITs.
Yeah.
Like, and of course, like, you know, we tend to talk to high school SBITs the most, but I have heard this, that they do X, right? And I am not a part of it. And sometimes I attend a meeting, but I don't contribute much to it because that is not my world. And that seems to be an opportunity for growth. But then again, I'm not in that situation. I really can't say, like, you know, jump in, do your thing, because maybe they're doing exactly the thing they want to do.
Sure.
But you're right. Like, it would be great when it works well, right? It's fantastic. I know over at Robinson, right, they've got 2 SBITs, right, for middle and high school, plus like a C-suite of of coaches, and they coordinate things very intentionally, saying this year across the building or across the school, we are going to do this, and we are all rowing in the same direction. Right. And that's chef's kiss.
Yes. And that was my ask when I met our new principal, is that, you know, to have that instructional focus. You know, I love the freedom and I love being able to pursue my projects and do that. But if I had at least the little bit of some sort of stone tablets from on high about like, this is where we're going as a school, I think that would help me.
Yes.
And it would help me even with the media projects. Like I can infuse those skills into the media projects when I work on that with teachers.
Because I have a mandate
Yes.
from administration, and I'm going to fulfill that mandate.
Yeah. So that was my big ask, because, you know, that's something about, I think in this building we've lacked that for the last few years. End of the year, beginning of the year, it's all coming, right? Like our year just sort of blends into each other, which is weird, right?
The rhythm of the SBITS year somewhat matches the rhythm of the teacher year, but the highs are lower and the lows are higher. Does that make sense? It's more even though there's ups and downs. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a chill, you know. Like people ask about, like, do you miss classroom teaching? I go, I miss some of it. I don't miss, I have to stay here till 6 because I need to get all my work done kind of thing.
Word.
Like the first 3-4 years of teaching, like, glad that's over with, right?
Yeah, I don't need to keep pushing that rock up that hill. No, thank you.
Nope. I do like being able to walk out of the building when I do 4-ish or so and just be like, all right, see you tomorrow, and just not think about it till I come back next day.
I'll say my T-specs they're great. Brian and Joseph, they are much chiller than me. And I still have that somewhat teacher mindset of, oh, it has to be done right now. There's a hard deadline. They ask now. I should answer now. They're like, no, Maria. No. Just give it buffer time.
Yes, I was trying to remember that when I was going for my walk yesterday afternoon, and I got a text from one of our like chairs who's just like, I messed up my authenticator. And of course, my response is, well, I can't do anything about your authenticator because that's not what I do. I
will message the T-specs and they'll get back to you when it's reset. Thank you. Yeah, but like part of me is still like, oh no, right. I have to go fix it.
That's what it was. It was like, oh no, I feel so bad. Like,
I do feel bad. I know that it's a terrible position to be in, and I'm so sorry. And send.
And, you know, we're kind of approaching a new school year as we close this one. And I don't know about you, but I feel as though, at least as a school district, when it comes to our like technology policy, I don't know what is happening. Like there are things that are like 80,000 directions and they are all conflicting with one another.
Since we're doing this as a kind of year in review,
sure,
right? I would like to jump back to the fall where we were told AI is coming.
Yep.
Right. Get ready for it. Start to like educate your teachers. Make sure everybody has some. I guess we're still saying digital literacy, but I think like what they really meant was AI literacy, right? And that was October or something where Dr. Reed was like, we are meeting the moment, right? Like AI is here and we are going to move forward with it. And I think we as SBITs, we're all collectively like, yes, we're into this. And, you know, we have a lot of questions about this. And then, you know, record scratch. here we are in like the end of May, and we are not moving forward with that type of enthusiasm because, Adam, why are we not? What has happened?
Where are we talking about our, new layer of community involvement?
There you go. So we advertised to the community that we are meeting the moment. AI is here. Our kids are going to seize it. We are going to have the most advanced students in the history of advanced students, right? Like, big ideas, big, as you say, right? Like ideas are going in every direction. This was one of them, right? If you can imagine, it's like a starburst.
Yep.
This is one of the points of light shooting off of that starburst.
Yeah, so much so that in January, we got all the tech people, us and our, IT friends, our technology support specialists. We all had to come together at now Skyview High. Which will always be Sky High in my view.
Oh, good Lord. And we had to learn about ChatGPT from the ChatGPT folks, right? Even though we had been using Bard/Gemini for the past, I guess, 2.5 years at that point.
And now paying for Gemini, right?
Yes, it is included in our Google for Workspace education profile or account or whatever it is. We are pro now, all of our SBITs. So even though we had that, right? Just, shiny new ChatGPT for teachers. Here's a new product. And I'm not anti-ChatGPT, right?
Sure.
But I think we were all sort of caught off guard, like, but we've been hearing, right, from vendor assessment that we shouldn't have like 2 programs if they both do the same thing. Like maybe we don't need Nearpod if we also have Pear Deck. That was our particular struggle to understand. But also, as you say, community involvement, because when all this was advertised, and it was advertised loudly, right? The school system is very proud of these things. And that's great. I mean, when the community heard about it, this is very, for those who don't know, this is a very type A area of the country. And people here, if they are passionate about a subject, will let you know.
Yes.
And so they let the school board know. And since then, I feel that sort of proactive, we're going out and we're going to do this, has turned into a reactive, maybe we should take a step back and develop more of a plan. I think before we probably had an idea, and I say probably because, as you know, we weren't really informed about it.
We asked about it all the time.
We didn't get one.
Nope.
So maybe there wasn't a plan, or it was super secret double probation plan. I don't know. So let's assume there was one, and for some reason we weren't just in the loop, right?
Yes.
But I think that plan as it stood sort of got shot to pieces when the community had a very strong pushback and said, well, what about this? And there were not answers ready for that. One of the things I have to point out I did love about the ChatGPT day wasn't the ChatGPT part, although that was fine.
Sure.
But remember when we went into that breakout room with SBITS and Richard Culata?
Oh, yes. The ISTE guy.
The ISTE CEO was there.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa. I love that talk. All right. He's very dynamic. I even went up to him afterwards. I was like, that was great. He's very engaging about it. And I think realistic. And I know some people, teachers especially, would want to get into the weeds about his thoughts on cheating, like AI and cheating. But he really just sort of takes like a big overarching view of it, and that like cheating is a normal human action. It didn't start with computers. Right. It didn't start with AI.
No.
And it won't end it either. And what you think is this new problem is actually just a different version of the same problem.
Sure. They all gloss over student cheating with AI, which is like our teaching staff's biggest concern.
They don't want to talk about anything else until they lock down their feelings about cheating with the powers that be. And the powers that be just don't have ears for it.
No.
If you are a parent who is concerned about cheating. What we know is that you will get an audience by attending these school board meetings, so much so that what they have developed now, this new, do you even know what it's called? Engagement?
Oh,
What's
it is. It's like the Educational Technology something committee.
Yeah.
Review committee or something like that.
Review committee. And it's supposed to have, I think, a billion people on it. It is the Grand Funk Railroad of committees. I saw like the list of all the people that could possibly be on it. And I'm like, wow, like, is that it? Just one of each or like multiple of each? That's a huge list. And if that's the case, this is going to be a committee where nothing really gets accomplished.
Well, right. When they announced it, and I'm like looking at some of the charges that this committee has, and it is like advise on division guidelines, practices, implementation models related to educational technology and digital learning platforms. Does that mean we can get rid of Schoology? Like, that'd be awesome.
If we get rid of Schoology, we're only going to replace it with something else that we don't like.
Canvas?
Canvas is great. Give me back Google Classroom, folks.
Yes, please.
So much.
Oh, I wish. Advise on criteria and process for evaluating, piloting, scaling, and sunsetting educational technology tools. So,
but we already have a very intensive process about that.
I mean, that process stinks, but yes.
but the part of the reason that it stinks is because it is quite thorough, and we kind of wish it wasn't. But I understand why it needs to be, right? And the vendor assessment team has a huge, like, mandate in front of them because they get so many applications. I'm sure 50% of them come from my school alone. Whereas one thing TJ does is they have tons of equipment and all of it needs specialized software. And so it all needs to go through the process. But I do feel like this is great. This is great. We want to listen to parents. I am also an FCPS parent.
Right.
Right. And so I'm glad that parents are listened to. But the things that showed up on this list, right, I know as an employee, is already covered. This stuff is covered. So what is this for? Right? I know that as an employee, I have to go through this long vendor application process on behalf of my teachers in my school if they want some software. Mm-hmm. And then I know that as a parent, I have to opt in every year so that my kids can use these digital tools, which have already been vetted.
Yes.
Right? And contracts have been signed. Privacy agreements have been signed. Like these are properly vetted things, right? And then for some reason, as a parent, I can go in and not only do I have to opt in every year,
yep.
Totes annoying, but then as a parent, I can go through and make my own little bespoke list and toggle certain tools on and off. And now, as an additional layer, we're going to put this up at like the division level that parents and SBITs and teachers and I don't like the million other YMCA members that were up there. What is the purpose of all this? I feel, as you say, it is to have a lot more voices.
Democracy dies in a bureaucracy, right? Like
yeah.
It's just, and innovation is going to die in this bureaucracy too, like in my view. And that to me has been like such a challenge, particularly this year, which is we have leadership saying one thing.
We want innovation.
We are a division of innovation. And
we are moving forward.
And I go, cool. Hey, this is a new tool. Sounds awesome. Can we get it approved? Sure. In a year and a half.
Approximately, yes.
And now anything, heaven forbid, have some sort of AI feature.
Yeah.
Particularly student-facing AI.
I would love some more clarification about this.
Yeah.
If I, as a teacher, have unfettered access to AI through ChatGPT and Gemini, right? Why then would my teacher-facing AI applications have to undergo any scrutiny?
Yeah.
Like, you've already given me the keys to the castle. Why? What's happening here? I would love to sit down and have like these roundtable discussions about just tell me everything you know, man. Like, then I can turn around and tell my staff. But it seems to trickle out bit by bit.
Yeah. So then there's so many people already involved in this process. And now we're going to have a community board. And I don't want to make any assumptions, but I can imagine what parents and other community members that are super motivated to be on this panel are likely the ones that are going to be like, no computers in school. Like, let's go back to paper. Like,
I signed up to be on this panel. Did I tell you this?
Oh, did you?
I did, because I looked at like the list of people that they had, and I was like, City of Fairfax resident? Yes. Espitz? Yes. Parent? Yes. I'm going for it. Now, they might not. But as you say, I have a lot of questions about people that will be there. And you know this just from working in the school and having teachers talk about AI, those very few but very loud voices who tend to dominate conversations and sort of intimidate other people, either directly or indirectly, into just not giving their opinion because they don't want to get into it with this person.
Right. They don't want to.
Right. And so I signed up to be a part of that. I don't know if I'm going to get chosen or not, but I don't know that I necessarily have much to contribute, but I think I would like to be in the room so that I can contribute feedback to, you know how like people go to Stack?
Yes.
And there's like the official Stack notes, and then they come back from Stack and they're like, well, now here's the real dish.
Yes. When they meet the superintendent monthly at the Stack.
Yes. So the real dish is what I signed up for. So then I can come back and say, so here's what they said, and here's how they came to that conclusion. Let me tell you the entire dramatic buildup.
I'm curious, and maybe we'll get more answers, are we now like beholden to this committee? Are they going to be evaluating individual tools as well? Like, are we now going to have community involvement on whether we should be allowed to use, whether it's Quizlet or Wayground or Kahoot, like all these like individual tools, like what kind of control here are we offering to this group?
That's a really good question. I guess I hadn't thought about it in that way. We don't let community members choose our resources. Even when we have Basil text committees, all they can do is advise.
Sure.
Right. And the school system could choose something else. We don't have to go with those. What I'm mostly concerned with is those few loud voices saying, I don't want my kid to touch a screen at all until they're 15.
Yes.
And I want to be able to opt out of everything. And the way that we have invested in technology in this county, that is impossible. And I fear people on the school board making promises that cannot be kept, right? Because if we have required testing, which we do, it feels like there's testing everywhere, and it's all done on the computer.
That it is.
And then we never let a kid touch a computer until it's time for a test. And then we, the school, are judged by that kid's performance, right? It is not in our best interest to have that student walk in blind to this situation. And I think teachers would back me up on this. You want them to be comfortable with the platform so that they can focus on content.
Yes.
And imagine you've never seen TestNav before and you don't realize it's a split screen and you have to read this first and scroll down to find the thing. And, you have to click this and drag it up here. And you bomb it. Yep. And it doesn't reflect your content knowledge. It reflects the fact that you were not able to learn because your parents opted you out and the school allowed it. That's what I fear the most.
There's sort of this idea of, I guess, going back to pencil, paper, all kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Is this a number of parents? Like, when I start thinking about like what school was like for me in the 80s and the 90s, do I want to go back to a high school that had overhead projector? Like my social studies class was just transparency after transparency of notes that I would just copy down.
These were not the glory days.
Like when we start talking about the workforce and what jobs we're trying to prepare students for, and sort of like the idea that, we want them to be creative, we want them to be collaborative, but that was not the case in this school that apparently you're yearning for. Like that was the school that prepared you for factory life. And, when we start talking about like that, we're getting students ready for, jobs where they're compliant and they know how to follow directions and they can go and do like these repeat tasks and all that kind of stuff.
Oh my God. Can we please get students to follow directions? I would love to start doing that at any time.
I mean, that'd be great too. Yes. But
read the instructions.
Like, please read the instructions. Get teachers to read the instructions or an email. Like that would be great too sometimes. And so like we are responding to these loud reactive voices. And I think with AI, it's the same sort of thing. And my number one biggest annoyance with all of this is that what we're doing by not having a student-facing AI policy, still one that we were promised in August
2025, folks.
2025, right? One that was asked about in January from the rafters at that, in Skyview's auditorium.
It was glossed over.
Totally glossed over. Yes, much like the question about resource approval and whether that's a mess or not. No. By not having that and not at least having functional use of AI with students and like using now as an opportunity to teach them, like our students are going to be behind.
Can I say that is aside from cheating in my building from the teachers, that is the second biggest complaint that I hear. And it's almost as big as the cheating thing. All right. So the biggest complaint about technology is cheating, AI, right? Using AI to cheat. But very close behind that is so many teachers want to teach AI literacy. They want to teach that critical thinking because they know students are doing it badly and they can't, right? Or they're trying to teach through like a fog where I, as the teacher, can show you something that I can do up here, but you students have no instant feedback loop the way that you should have. Not that these tools don't exist, right? But we don't have those student-facing tools. And so they are so frustrated. They make these great notebook LMs and they want to share them with students. Can't do it.
Nope.
Right? They have these great ideas about using Gemini for like Socratic seminaring themselves about a topic to learn more about it. Can't do it.
Yeah.
So they are being stymied. They hate AI. Hate is a strong word. They are not fans of AI. Number one, because students are using it for cheating. This is using it for evil, they feel. And when they try to get students to use it for good, they can't.
Right.
So there's not much coming from the school to help these teachers. They're between a rock and a hard place. So can I a call to action, an impassioned plea?
Yes.
School board or advisory board or anybody, I need you to flip on that. If you're not going to do all of Gemini, okay, fine, whatever, right? But at least flip on our ability to get kids in Google Classroom where we can give them curated notebooks from Notebook LM, and we can give them gems that we created that are meant to do specific things, right? And it's contained there. Like we don't have to give them the full website, right? Like I'm not asking for too much here.
No.
Give us tools that we already have access to and just let these teachers cook.
Yeah.
They want to. It would be great if we could get that to roll out in 2026 because, as you say, the longer we delay it, we're sending these kids out into the world untrained. Untrained. And it's just saying, good luck, guys.
Yeah.
It's a good thing that you learned how to, write a 5-paragraph essay. Not that I'm knocking the 5-paragraph essay, but it can't be all we teach them, right? There's more to learn. We want to teach you. Let us cook.
Indeed. That would just be so nice. Or even something, like we went out and we're going to get the enterprise level of Magic School AI, but we're going to turn off the student facing part, which I heard is like, and I not really use it myself personally, but just to hear others, at least in our position, talk about it, it seems like such a worthwhile use of AI. It's got the guardrails. It's not going to let the kids stray too far. It is a bowling lane with bumpers. Yeah. Right? Great. Let them ping pong off those bumpers as they go down the lane and learn something about AI. I think they put the kibosh on everything until they have figured out a non-reactive path forward, like an actual policy. And great. We want that policy. We've been asking for that policy, right? Yeah. Where are we in that process? We would love to know. Yeah. What's the plan? What's the plan? And what's a timeline? Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know, maybe I'm just like some dumb schmuck here, but I'm like, how is this hard? Like, shouldn't the policy be, you can't use AI to cheat. You can use it for educational purposes, for to help you augment your instruction, but
they've
not
already
replace.
Got that, though. Right? They have said very clearly that using AI in and of itself is not cheating. Right? They're bold enough to put that out, which I appreciate. That is firm.
Yep.
Let's follow that up with some more firm statements about what AI is and isn't and what we're going to do about it.
That would be awesome.
Awesome.
But not anything forthcoming. And now we have this new layer, because that's one of the charges of this review committee.
But only to advise about it.
Yes.
Right? They can give a recommendation that may or may not be accepted.
But it seems pretty clear that at least the school board or, our division leadership is going to probably wait for this committee to do its work before it comes out with a policy.
I think you're right. And now we're looking at 2027 at best.
Sure. Sounds great. By then, who knows what AI is going to be? And, what good would this policy be for something that's already like extinct or solving problems that existed now with AI? So
I think you said something, maybe not here, but like in earlier discussions, like all those feelings are also getting wrapped up with, AI, screen time, right? Like, bullying, social media, like it is all wrapped up together. And are we doing any work? We, the county, certainly not us, the SBITs, right? Like we are not picking apart these different things. Give me something for high school first.
Yeah.
And then work backwards. All right. These kids are graduating. They're moving out into the world immediately. Maybe they don't need a kindergarten plan before they release this to everyone, right? Like we don't need a K-12 plan to come up with an AI policy for just high schoolers.
Yeah.
Right? Why not? They're all above 13. COPPA doesn't apply to them. Come on, guys.
Yep. I'd love that too. At least you're right. As a high school SBIT, my struggle, and I see it even with like the phone policy, right? And I'm sure we can go like another hour of phone policy.
Oh, that's also there. And like the big Gordian knot of stuff.
There's another giant, den of inequity that we're rolling around in. But I see that as like an example where if we would have gotten ahead of phones when they got smarter, and if we would have gotten ahead of like what would have been responsible, practical uses for phones with students while they're in school to learn that, this device will get you in trouble because you're going to put like some dumb thing on TikTok. Sure.
They are trying to get you addicted to these apps.
Yes.
Here's how they do it.
Yes.
Don't let yourself get played.
But, when it comes to like, could we have talked about like tier 1 strategies, organizational things, setting reminders, using the calendar? Like, could we have had responsible ways to use phones to the point where we didn't? We never went and pursued that at all.
Not formally.
And then they just spiraled, and it all spiraled out.
And now it's
to where it's uncontrollable, right? And now we can't control phones. Now we're just going to shut them off. Like just nope, because we've lost the management piece of it.
We have,
and we've lost an ability to kind of teach kids to self-regulate with phones. And now we're just going to ban them, and we could talk about whether it's been good or bad. I don't know.
But it puts a huge burden on the teachers, a huge burden on the school, especially since there's no consequences for we understand that the phone is bad. We understand it is against the law for you to have it. Also, no consequences.
Right.
And I understand and don't understand why that is. But, if you expect students to take it seriously, then you need to make it serious.
Yeah. We've given up here. I mean, we've
given up. This feels almost at this point like an unserious conversation.
Yeah.
Because without solutions, we're just spinning in circles, and none of those circles are going to go anywhere.
Yeah. And that's like, when you talk about innovation, to me, and you're talking about like these emerging tools, and if we're going to continue to be reactive, I think as a school system, I think it's a tremendous disservice to our students. Right. And so like AI is here, it's not going anywhere. It's like, it is the same kind of fear as calculators. It's like, oh no, the kids can't do math. It's like, true. It means they can do cooler math now because now they have something that will help them with some of the mechanical parts of it. Right? Like, I don't need to do, measuring area under curves, and I'm talking about calculus, right? I don't need to if I don't have to do that manually, or I have a calculator now to help me, at least I can understand the conceptual part behind it, right?
And that's
like
going to be what pushes me forward.
Yeah. It's like getting deeper into concepts and solving more complex things, because I do have a device that can help me with the actual physical process or coding or, whatever. It's like that's where the innovation is. The innovation is not, oh no, I can't consult, like I don't know JavaScripting, right? I definitely never took a course, never took a community science course or anything like that.
And yet we code.
And yet, you're right. And yet I am developing apps. Like, I'm putting apps together, and they don't code, but you know what I can do? I can ask AI to code something for me with my vision, right?
Because I know how to use language to, express the concept that I have in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a skill. And what a beautiful skill that would be for students to have. But oh no. So so that is, to me, like another example of, a tool that would certainly propel our students forward, but that we get sort of stuck in while in the past we didn't have this, or schools shouldn't be doing, like we get stuck with, I think, listening to, like what you said, louder voices, like these louder voice and not pushing back. Like, there's zero pushback, at least from our own leadership, about, well, no, this is why we see the value of AI and having students have access to it. And like, this is why we're going to have it. No, the first move was like, okay, now we're going to create a panel. Awesome. So we're going to delay having any kind of decision, right? We're going to go and not completely abandon our leadership.
Make a forum for your voices to have a place to go.
Yeah.
Because we do not want you to come to the school board meetings. I don't know if that's true. I just made that part up. But like this, if you have a voice, this is the place where you should go to express that voice, is how I'm hearing it.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about Google Classroom.
Yes. Let's get that back. That would be awesome.
Come on, guys. We're so close to having it. And when I say so close, I mean just as close as we were 5 years ago.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And that kind of.
But now it's got the embedded Google, like, AI tools. Oh, I want it so bad. I understand if we give them Google Classroom, then they're not going to use Schoology. And
well, we paid all that money for Schoology because we did.
Yeah, we did. But Schoology can't give us what Google Classroom can. I only wish for Christmas, as Mariah Carey would say.
I get it.
We learn by doing. And the problem with our approach to AI right now is that we are trying to pre-teach everything and then say, all right, go out and do it. Right. Imagine if there was no behind the wheel in driver's ed and they just got the classroom portion and then we gave them a license. Right?
Not a good idea.
Chaos. Madness, I tell you.
Madness, I tell you, yes.
And nobody would even think that that's anywhere near a good idea. And yet that's kind of what we're doing, right? Like, we are telling them that you're responsible for handling yourself in this giant beast that was not created for you, right? It was created for adults who know what they're doing. Haha. Don't screw this up.
Yep.
That's insanity.
It is. So
give us those bumper lanes, right? So that we can give kids a place to make mistakes and learn from them.
God, love it. BYOD, where do you stand on that? Bring your own devices.
I understand that I can say it till I'm blue in the face. You've got to follow the school technology rules. But as long as we keep BYOD, as long as we keep allowing them to put BYOD devices on the school Wi-Fi, right? As long as we keep saying, you don't have to use a Chromebook. It's okay. It's not going to be okay.
No.
But we also can't afford to give everyone a Chromebook. We can't buy more Chromebooks right now, right? Weren't we just talking about this?
Yeah, that's another kind of pickle, yeah.
Yeah. So every year, like freshmen, all get issued fresh new devices, and a bunch of them want to turn them in immediately. Oh, I don't need this. I have my own device. He's like, no, take it back, right? And the line is always, you will have to do all of your testing on a school computer, right? And this is not a storage area. So you will take that home, and anytime your teacher says you must bring an FCPS device to test on, you will have it at hand, right? And so they're very, very, very good at that.
I don't know. I mean, I think here, I know we've had trouble getting Chromebooks. Get it. Our kids lose them. They wind up, under the tires of buses, buried. Like, we've had Chromebooks show up that were in who knows where this thing wound up.
Wowza.
We still have one that's like in a bag of dirt. Like, there's like a plastic bag in our office that's got like a computer in there with like all dirt and everything. It's like, where was this thing? I would get rid of BYOD. And I wasn't really a big fan of Chromebooks when they came in.
It helps a lot now that we have more cloud-based stuff.
Right.
We didn't have that when we originally got them. And so it was more of a pain, right? But now it's a lot easier. But I am with you. We could get rid of BYOD and I would be fine with it.
We'll end with this because I feel like we've done a lot of vetching, which is cool.
We're actually positive people.
We are.
You can't tell.
Yes. There is no Festivus poll in here. Right. So we have not quite aired out all the grievances. Is there something as we head into the end of this year, going into next year, at least from like a technology point of view, education point of view, is there something that you're actually excited, like looking forward to, like running with going into next year?
We touched on it. All right. So I was really thinking that 2026 was going to be the year that we actually had AI policy. I don't know if that's going to happen now. So I have kicked that can down the road. And what I'm really hoping for, right? Give me a workable AI policy. I have so many great teachers who want to teach kids about this and to use it responsibly, and they're being held back. I would love to be able to set those teachers free and say, you've got what you need, run with it.
I agree with you. That door opening next year, I think for students, at least at the high school level. Just yesterday, I was in our entrepreneurship class, had their final presentations. I went up to one of the students and he had like this concept for a physical therapy business was his business plan. And he had this logo and it looked like kind of like a butterfly with like a person, like a stick figure kind of icon. I was like, so what's up with the logo? Like, I thought he was going to tell me that he just like Google image searched like physical therapy and like that's the logo that came up. And then I said, did you use AI for that? And he's like, yeah. And I go, do you remember what you asked the AI? Mm-hmm. And he went through and like, he gave me this sort of well thought out prompt about like designing a logo for a physical therapy business, and it like should be calming and it should be like, effective and all this kind of stuff. And I was like,
what good critical thinking?
What we need to be teaching in our schools.
Yes.
And so I would like to take the English praxis because I would like to be certified so I can teach broadcast journalism in case I decide to have it credit bearing for what I do here. And I was just like, give me 10 questions that would resemble the English praxis in Gemini. And it turned into a testing platform. Gemini screen all of a sudden changed and now it looked like a testing platform. Yep. And like, let me practice in it. I go, this is cool. Now we can get our kids to do this. We don't need the teachers to come up with all of the review guides all the time. And they still can, but we can also teach students how they can expand that themselves. All right. Maria, thank you so much for being here. This is Maria Cruz from TJ, Thomas Jefferson High School, the nerd school.
But they're cool.
They're cool nerds. Maria, thank you so much for being here, and we'll be back after this.
All right. I do want to thank Maria for being on the show. It was great to have that conversation and I guess airing out some of the concerns that we have kind of going forward. We're really thinking about next year. I did want to add a little bit of that myself because I also am seeing that educational technology seems to be almost at a crossroads right now. A few years ago, pre-pandemic even, it was like cool thing and it's so, we're on the vanguard and look at how much technology we have in our classrooms and how great that our students are being exposed to it because they're going to live in this world where they're going to be full of technology. And so they're going to leave school with this ability to harness it and use it for good. And then the pandemic hit. And then after the pandemic, there have been some pushback, particularly from like our community about where does technology fit? And now we're worried about screen time. We're worried about how often students are on computers and like everything's now on a computer. And then, AI also is dominating that conversation because there's certainly a lot of fear about students are using AI to cheat. They're using it to think for them. They're not going to learn anything. AI is going to take over their world or we're giving all of our information to these giant tech companies and what are we getting for it? And so I see that. And I think that there's a lot in our community that are intent on blaming technology and the abundance of technology in education. They're looking to blame technology for sort of the degradation of some of the basic skills in organization. Like students can't write anymore. They can't think for themselves. They don't have a lot of attention span for longer tasks, or they can't really focus on stuff for a while because they're subjected to screens and short videos and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I mean, I get it too. Like I've got a 7-year-old, and am I worried about her being attached to a screen all the time? Yes. But I also can see that like when she's around her friends or she's out or she's like camping or something like that, like she doesn't have to be on the screen. It's not like she goes through withdrawal if she doesn't have her iPad immediately. Like she can still function as a student. So, and she does great in school, which doesn't have a lot of screens. There's going to be some sort of ongoing clash here. So those voices are coming from our community. But then when you look at what we get from our leadership, whether it is our chief information officer, whether it's a lot of the upper level people in our IT department, or whether it's our leaders on the instructional services side. So like while I am a technology specialist, we are on the instruction side here in Fairfax County. We partner with the information technology folks, but we're not their employees. Like there's a definite split, but there's also kind of a merging of those worlds where people who were educators or instructional technology specialists or coaches, they're now working in our IT department, particularly with like ISTE, the International Society for Technology and Education, on developing a lot of these things. And so there's a lot of voices for technology and proponents for technology within our district, but now our community, and I don't know if they're a minority group, but certainly a very vocal group, is pushing back on, like younger students shouldn't have a lot of tech or have a device home with them or something like that. And I'm not going to talk a lot about the elementary ed side of things because that's not my specialty. I've been a secondary teacher and educator, my entire career. I'm not going to speak too much to that, but the fear, I won't say fear, but sort of like the reluctance, even here at the high school level, about AI and all that kind of stuff it's visible. And for me, I'm torn. I'm also concerned about prohibiting or limiting a lot of this emerging technology to think that we're going to shield our students away from it, but then we're also not preparing them to work with this technology in the future. It's really hard to say, well, schools can't talk about this, or, we're not going to do that here in school because it's bad. But then at the same time, like it's going to be part of their world. I know Maria and I kind of talked a lot about this, so I won't re-say too much. But when we have this community outreach and we have the technology review committee that is coming, we've already seen that our school board is going to defer some very important technology-based decisions to that committee for review and make recommendations. Now, they're not deciding policy, so that's good. But they will have the direct ear of our superintendent because the board is directing our superintendent to listen to this committee and its recommendations before our superintendent determines, sort of the final policy for our school or brings a final policy recommendation to our school board for vote. If these recommendations are going to be curtailing our technology use in class, we really are in danger of not fulfilling the mission that schools have, which is not necessarily to prepare students for a future. Like that's only part of it. Our job as educators is preparing our students for a future that we have not yet imagined. I'm not going to go and say, like, when I was in high school and I'm sitting in a classroom in rows listening to my history teacher talk for 45 minutes straight and throw notes on a board or on an overhead projector, while I couldn't imagine what school would look like 20 to 30 years from that point, where I would be in education, like as a teacher. I wasn't imagining that I would have access to a laptop computer and be able to put my, computer's image and slideshows and like teaching students about AI and having like chatbot. Like, no, I mean, I've never was preparing for that, but we had to learn and we had to build like that capacity. And honestly, I did not get that from school. My schooling did not prepare me necessarily for the future in that sense. No amount of honors classes that I took or AP classes or anything like that prepared me to be an educator that would shift to more student-centered learning, because that wasn't really that big of a thing back in the 90s. As much as I love the 90s, but education, it wasn't it. So the educational ideas that we have today about engagement and keeping students working together and collaboration, all that kind of stuff. If we're going to go and say, like, we're going to send students into college and they're going to have access to AI, college going to use AI, And even if you don't think that AI is going to necessarily take over people's jobs, AI is here in a lot of ways, some of which we have not yet anticipated and some of which are already happening, right? Like I did not anticipate vibe coding, but if it wasn't for my own curiosity and my own desire to be like a lifelong learner, I do believe like we are doing a disservice by shutting off students to AI use instead of teaching them to use these tools appropriately or teaching them ways on like how to approach this technology or any new technology that they may face, right? Or to be like critical thinkers in terms of like, what can this do? How can it help me? What are things that I can ask of AI that'll make me a better person or more prepared or a better student? Right. And there are a number of ways where talk about multilingual learners all the time, right? And how to help them. And our school has a lot of multilingual learners. Well, wouldn't it be great if I was able to teach a multilingual learner how to use AI to translate texts, to take texts and make them easier and more understandable and make them aligned with whatever their current level of English is? That's not cheating. That is a proper use of AI. That is a proper use of a support. And that's a great support that we should be thankful that we have access to. That's my worry, is that we're going to let the fear get in the way of developing an AI policy so that we can actually start using these tools with students, much like staff are using them, or preventing students from using them at all. We'll see what happens. I just hope that what prevails is a flexible and an innovative policy or guidelines when it comes to educational technology, and that we are looking for a blend. We're looking for somewhere in the middle of no screens at all, paper, all the things, to having screens on all the time. It wouldn't be wise in education to say that we're going to go from one extreme or the other. Neither of those extremes are good ideas. But again, we're going to go into 26-27 school year without a student AI policy here in FCPS. So we're still going to have no apps or no ability at all to teach students about its proper use. I don't know what's going to happen here in the future. I think for the 26-27 school year, there's reason to be optimistic. I think there's also things that I'm concerned about. And we'll all find out, I guess, in July and August with whatever our school board implements. Obviously, here at Lewis High School, we have our new principal coming in. So we'll see what policies and things are put into place here over at Lewis. So anyway, I hope everyone has an awesome summer. I will look to continue some of the Tools of the Storyteller series over the summer, both on YouTube and here on the podcast feed. So check out that in the future. I want to thank everybody for listening. Give a few shout outs. I went and looked at our page, and apparently this podcast is being listened to in like Vietnam. So I guess it's like, when did that happen? Good gracious. So I go and say hola to anyone listening, say in Argentina. I think we still have a few listeners off of one of my interviews with Daniela Ortega, one of our Argentinian teacher here. And a shout out to Ray, who probably loves Baja Blast and Taco Bell more than I do. So, it's great to find kindred spirits in unique ways. But, and of course, the wonderful Silent Susie. So, this is here. You can reach out. This is here pod at gmail.com. Also, this is here pod on X or Twitter, whatever we're calling it. And I am Adam Schechter, and you can reach me at Lancer_EdTech. And then on Blue Sky, it's just Lancer EdTech without the underscore. And everything Lancer Media can be seen at lancermedia.org, or look for Lancer Media TV on YouTube and Instagram and anywhere else that you are around on the internet. So again, this is here. Thank you all for listening, and we'll be back next time. See ya.